All right, we're gonna try this again. Waiting for Elvin to come back on. Turn this shit up. Till then, listen to some instrumentals. There you go. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. All right. I think you're kind of going a little bit better now. Want to wait a little bit? Want to wait a little bit for the people to come back?
Yeah, it's already starting, so I'm going ahead and just have, because now people want to ask questions to me, and I'm telling them listen in. Right? You want me to write these big paragraphs, and all you got to do is just click on the button and listen. Man. Yeah,
Exactly.
man. Hey, I'm like you. I'm gonna have to probably hit the road in a few hours.
Oh yeah, where you headed to?
I don't know yet, man. They got us on like substitute routes this week. So whenever they call, you gotta go. Whatever they need you to go, you gotta go, man. So it's crazy because you can go to bed at 10 o'clock and they can call you at 12, talking about, so we need you in 30 minutes.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucks. Yeah, it sucks, man, because they want you in the bed all day waiting by the phone.
Right. They get
You
you
got
4 hours of sleep and they had to hit the road for 11 hours. Like, yeah, okay.
yeah. Good luck with that. I cut my phone off when it reach a certain time.
Yeah, I hear you. I wish, but I'm stuck in this truck. I can't wait till I get local. And I'm riding
Making no
from
money though.
Washington. I ride from Washington, and I'm on my way to New York. And I'm only like halfway there. I'm at the edge I'm at the edge of North Dakota and Minnesota.
Is it snow up there?
Is it? I ain't never seen snow like up here. Like it's ridiculous.
You solo now?
Huh?
You solo or you teaming?
Oh, say it one more time.
Are you solo or do you team? Solo? Are you solo
Oh,
driving or you team?
yeah, yeah,
Or you
yeah. I'm solo right now. Yeah, I'm solo. I can't do no more teams. Nope, can't do no more teams.
Yeah, that break you. Well, hey, I think they ready, man, because
All
your
right.
brother down there said, "What's the darn deal?"
Man, that's my ock right there. That's my ock. But yeah, now we just talking about like following Torah and keeping Torah and like the difference between the Moshe covenant and all that stuff like that. Okay, so what I was gonna ask is um oh what was I gonna ask? Oh, let me gather my thoughts again. Give me 1 second. Boop. Okay. Um. Oh, okay. So, do you believe that sacrificing is pretty much necessary in order to for the Most High to turn His wrath away?
Um, I would say yes.
Okay. Do you believe
I would
that?
say that because
Okay.
we please him through sacrifices. So
Okay. Uh, you have your sword on you? Well, I know you kind of laying down though, so it seems like you're in the bed, but you got your
oh
sword.
no, hey man, I got my Bible right here.
All right, all right. Do me a favor and can you turn to Second Kings chapter 20 and then read 1 through 4.
All right, 2 Kings 21-4. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amos, came to him and said unto him, Thus said the Lord, Set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And it came to pass afore Isaiah was gone out of the middle court, that the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, I guess verse 5,
Yeah.
turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people. Thus said the Lord, the God of David, thy father, I have heard thy prayers. I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee. On the third day thou shalt go upon the house of the Lord. Hey, can you close this door, if you don't mind? And I will add unto the days, thy days, 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria. And I will defend this city for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. And
Okay.
I,
All right. So that's good. That's good. All right. So like we do know like the story of Hezekiah. It was in a time period that Hezekiah um, was under a siege from the Syrian Empire, and they was about to be taken. Um, which the Syrian Empire was being used by the Most High to bring wrath unto Israel, correct? And
correct.
just a simple prayer from Hezekiah turned away the Most High's wrath to Assyria, because we know after this time period, the Ethiopians got involved. I'm sorry, not the Ethiopians, but the Egyptians got involved. So the Syrian army ends up turning towards Egypt, getting defeated. Then he went back, and then the king was killed. Was later killed. Okay, how about Jonah? The story of Jonah. I want to. We know the story of Jonah. I believe it's in chapter 3, where the Most High's wrath was coming onto Nineveh, and Nineveh fasted and prayed, turned away his wrath. So with that being said, uh, the Most High doesn't require sacrifices. He requires you to be obedient, which you can get in Jeremiah 7:21, 21 through 24. Because we can see a case here where Israel was thinking that just simply sacrificing would turn away or keep the Most High's wrath away.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay, so now this is where we got to understand the Hebrew mindset as well as the father, because in both instances, we actually went over, and the obedience is better than sacrifice. Well, hold on, I'm gonna ignore the comments right now.
Okay.
What you just went over, you actually went over the sacrifices. You see, the point was the Most High. He gave them the Levitical priesthood because that covenant that they cut with him, it had to be some type of death atonement for their. See, that's what they chose. It was some type of death atonement in order for him to delay that wrath. But the sacrifice that the Most High wanted from the beginning had nothing to do with blood sacrifices. And I'm glad that you went to Jonah, because I'm going to quote from Jonah also to show you this. And this is the same thing that King Hezekiah did. Jonah 2 and verse 9. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. So yes, Jonah did sacrifice. And that's how he got away from out of that wrath that was coming upon him. And then he went to Nineveh, and Nineveh repented. So the sacrifices of voice, which is the same thing spoken of in Psalms, which is the same thing King Hezekiah did, which is the same thing spoken of in the New Testament from Second Peter, which is the same thing that was when Christ was when the Most High was saying that he had no pleasure in the animal sacrifices. It's because all of the sacrifices that he wanted was verbal, or which in the New Testament they coined it spiritual sacrifices. And the Apocrypha, they coined it sacrifices of the voices and thanksgiving. And in Psalms, they coined it sacrifices of thanksgiving of verbal or the voice. Yes, spiritual sacrifices was acceptable to the Most High. It's always, the Most High always, let me let that go by. Somebody say no. All right. The Most High always wanted some type of sacrifice. So King Hezekiah gave him what we call a spiritual sacrifice. Jonah gave him what we call a spiritual sacrifice. See, this was the importance of the new covenant, because the new covenant allowed us to have spiritual sacrifices, while the Mosaic covenant had us do carnal sacrifices. That's why everybody was waiting on the new covenant, because that word of mouth, that spiritual sacrifices that everybody could do, that's what they wanted. But so yes.
Okay, but okay, so then I would want you to read then, because you're saying that in the Mosaic covenant, the one that was issued out required sacrifices as far as like the killing of animals, right? Okay. Jeremiah 7:21 then. Go ahead and read that for me.
All right.
21 through 24.
All right, Jeremiah 7:21
through 24.
All right. So Jeremiah, which is what, before the Babylonian attack?
Yeah.
All right.
So this will still be considered the old covenant.
Right. So Jeremiah 7:21, right? Through what, 24?
Through 24.
Okay. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing I commanded them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your God, and ye shall be my people, and walk ye in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. But they hearken not, nor incline their ears, but walk in the counsels, and in their imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward. Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. Yes, sir.
Oh, so right there, that's showing you that he never commanded to sacrifice. Period. If you read Exodus, from Exodus 19 all the way to, I don't even know what chapter, whatever chapter that Aaron's two sons started sacrificing. That was the first sacrifice. But if you read all the way from there, there was no sacrifice. You don't get sacrifices until you get until the sons of Aaron came about, and then he started saying, okay, so since you want to sacrifice, go ahead and start doing it this way.
Well, I would disagree with that, because first of all, I want to say what I believe he's saying, but I believe what he's saying is the covenant that I was trying to give y'all was not requiring you to sacrifice for atonement, because that's the covenant he wanted to give them. But the covenant that they agreed to required them to have some type of blood sacrifice for the atonement. But that's one thing. But Moses told Pharaoh that they wanted to go, that the Most High wanted them to go into the wilderness and sacrifice unto him, I believe. Ain't that what they said?
Yes, but was that okay? So we have to understand the differences between sacrifices now, because you have burnt offerings, meal offerings,
Right,
free will
right, right,
offerings,
right,
guilt
right, right,
offerings, right? Okay, but then you have a separate one called sin offering, right?
right. You have your
Uh,
right, right.
yes. Now, what was being done with these sacrifices? These sacrifices was being cooked and eating. So these
Correct.
was not, yes. So these was technically feasts or memorials, okay? Just from the simple fact that the Most High, you're giving honor and you're giving praise to the Most High. Then you had a sin offering that was being brought because you not it's not because I'm trying to turn away of a wrath, because the moment, even the New Testament say this, sin is the wages of death, correct? So the simple fact that yes, you sin, you're supposed to die. But the simple fact that you did it and you're turning away from your sins, or you're turning away from your wicked ways, now you want to issue out a specific offering, which is a free will offering, a guilt offering, a burnt offering, which is nothing but burning all the blood and guts and stuff like that. And you're giving I think I said guilt offering or burnt sacrifice or whatsoever, which is nothing but you giving thanks to the Most High, and you having a feast day for the Most High, or you having a feast, or you giving honor, or you giving a specific offering from your stock to say thank you, Most High, for allowing me to live my next day. Because if you go and you read, and you know this is our favorite spot, when you go and you read Ezekiel 18. I want to go to Ezekiel 18. Where's this verse at? I believe it's 27, but I want to say 22 as well, 21 and 22. It says to say you whoever the wicked man that turns away his sins, turn away from his wickedness and start to keep righteousness, none of his transgressions will be remembered, nor any of his iniquities, but he should save his souls. But if you turn away from doing righteousness and you start acting wickedly, then none of your righteousness will be remembered. So this is all that the Most High commanded us to do, is to actually sit there and repent. Now, what we do to honor Him for allowing us to repent and allow us to live another day, because the moment that you live another day, it's your chance to actually turn away from your wicked ways. But if you continue on the wicked ways, then yes, this is going to lead to a certain death of yours, or a certain a certain death or a certain negative result of it. But if I wake up tomorrow, like I say, for instance, I steal today, or whatsoever, and tomorrow comes about, and I say I shouldn't have stole, that's me confessing my sins. Then I say, okay, I'm not going to steal no more. Most High is allowing me to live another day, because I could have went and stole, and then somebody caught me stealing, and they could have shot me for stealing, which is perfectly legal. Shot me for stealing, and I could have died right there on the scene, because that's why the commandment was still don't steal. But the simple fact that the Most High didn't allow nobody to see me steal, and I got away with it, quote unquote, from stealing. No, I didn't get away with it. I just simply the Most High set it up to where I'm not being caught for stealing, so therefore I can get a chance to repent from my wicked ways. So now I come into realization that I need to not steal no more. Now I start living righteously and not stealing no more, and now I've just been saved. So what do I do? Thank you, Most High. I'm giving you a thank you sacrifice. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to give my first and Adam and Abel and Cain was perfect examples of this. Perfect examples. A lot of people think that the Most High rejected Cain's offering. He didn't reject Cain's offering. Abel's offering was just a little bit more valuable to Abel than Cain's. Okay, so that's why he accepted Abel's sacrifice a little bit more, which made Cain jealous. Now we have to think, when Isaac offered up sacrifices for Ishmael, it was heard. Therefore, the Most High allowed Ishmael to be fruitful, or save Ishmael in the wilderness. Only reason why is because Isaac gave up one of the very dear things to him, and that's an offering. That's a sacrifice. Your sacrifice is something that means something to you, or means something to me, and I'm giving it to the Most High. Even the firstborn. What are we supposed to do with the firstborn? Give it to the Most High. But the firstborn is something dear to us, but we're supposed to give it to the Most High. That's offering the Most High our firstborn son.
All right. So
if you get what I'm saying.
Oh well, I studied in the priesthood a whole lot, so I wanna
Okay,
cover
go ahead.
over a little some of that you said. Okay, I would like to say that first I was demonstrating that when he said that he did not command them to give offering or what sacrifices. What I was showing that it was the type of sacrifices that he was talking about, which you actually touched on, and I do agree that they had been given Thanksgiving offerings from the beginning. So I know that they was giving Thanksgiving offerings, they was giving peace offerings, and Moses actually the Most High actually told Moses the correct way for them to give the free will offerings, and
Mm-hmm.
they was also given the new thing that they was given was the trespass offerings as well as the sin offerings, but
Mm-hmm.
what the Most High was talking about was he wasn't wanting them in the beginning to give the atonement offering, but the covenant that they agreed to, it had to have some type of atonement. Or, but I will go over the because I still got a little bit more on commandments. I mean covenants, because I love covenants. So I will go a little bit more on covenants, but I want to touch on Cain's offering real fast and why I feel like it was rejected. I feel like Cain's offering was rejected because it specifically said that Abel gave the firstlings of his flock, but it did not
Mm-hmm.
say that Cain gave the first fruits of his. It said, he just gave, the fruits or the plants, whatever. But it never said the first fruits. And we know throughout all of the offerings, the Most High always wanted the first of everything. So I think that the Bible did not say that Cain didn't give the first fruits for a reason. And I think that that's the reason why his offering got rejected, because he didn't give the first fruits. He just gave fruits. That's just my opinion. We can look through
I
that, but
Yeah. No, no.
I
I was
mean,
gonna say. I mean, it could have like to me. It just Cain was kind of like careless with his offering. So, I mean, I'm not saying like when I'm saying like rejected. I'm just saying like he pushed. He what I'm taking as far as with Cain's offering is like he kind of just like, yeah, thank you. It's kind of like, okay, you have two children, and one child is just like scribbles, oh, I love you, dad, and it's like it's all over the place, and it's like, oh, that's cute, and I'm hanging this up on the refrigerator. But then you have another child who's artistic and and could draw, and it's like, wow. And then so you get a child, he put effort into it. With this other child, they put no effort into it, like just whatever. Here, or you want to offer here, you want a Father's Day, here, I'm gonna draw you a picture. But the other one is like, okay, I drew this picture, you're gonna pay more attention to this one because it's like, wow, you actually put some effort into this. Like I can see, like you made sure there was details into it, and you're gonna praise it a little bit more, which is gonna make the other child a little bit jealous. You're not gonna. I mean, that's the only reason why I believe like jealousy would come up about it, because it's like, oh, you rather take his offering and you not taking mine, or you showing his offering more praises than you are mine. You just hung mine up on the refrigerator, but you hung this one up on the frame and you put it on the wall so everybody could see it. Like, come on, Dad. Like, and that's why I feel like, Abe and
what
if I,
what I just think he didn't give his first fruits because he said that
yeah,
he didn't do well. And if he didn't do well, sin would be at his door, and he was sacrificing. So I don't think the problem was the sacrifice. And I think the
yeah,
problem was what he sacrificed, because he wasn't doing well. Because
yeah.
Adam will be, in my opinion, Adam will be the first priest upon the planet Earth, and Adam would show his sons how to do the priesthood, which was the Thanksgiving offerings to the Most High. And I think that Cain, because it didn't happen right off. You could tell that time progressed, and
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
as time progressed, Abel kept up with doing his firstlings, but Cain started slacking and he started giving fruits, but not the first fruits. That's
I
just
can
why
rock with
I
that.
get from it. Yeah, so we about it the same thing, but now I want to get back on this covenant also. I got
Yeah,
a
go
few
ahead.
more things to bring out about this covenant also. because
Okay.
because the covenant, knowing what type of like knowing what type of sacrifices is important, but knowing what type of covenant is important also, because those specific sacrifices, they all had a meaning. Just like your trespass sacrifice would come in before your sin sacrifice. Your trespass, well, I would say your trespass offering would come in before your sin offering. So this is all showing the transitioning. So first you would do a trespass, and then later on you would do a sin. So you can do a trespass and not have to do a sin, but you can't do a sin without doing a trespass. But that's stuff that people can look up later on. So and that most of that trespass and sin offering was only given under the Mosaic covenant. It was only a Mosaic covenant thing. Everybody else was given Thanksgiving offerings. But why do we need these atonements? Because this is what Israel signed up for. This is what Israel said they wanted. So it had to be a type of atonement in order for that wrath not to come immediately, because something had to die per covenant agreement. The Bible itself does not get into how covenants operates. You have to go into more of Hebrewic literature and all that stuff, or the Eastern literature, to understand how covenants operate. And then you take that information and apply it to the Bible, because the Bible wasn't concentrating on the point or the little minute details behind the covenant. It was concentrating on the outcome of the covenant. So I want to go back to the points or the minute details of the covenant, and then I'll let you have it right back.
Okay.
All right. So now, and I'm gonna let's read a little bit more about the covenant, because we know that it was a kinship covenant, a covenant between two equal parties who had two representations of God, and the God said that if one covenant party didn't do what they were supposed to, then that God of that covenant party had to um, punish that person or that covenant party for not doing it. So God, there's no God over God. So God was left in a position to be punisher as well as be protector. Before Israel agreed to it, the Most High was only protector. That's why Abraham's covenant was so easy. That's why Noah's covenant was so easy. That's why Adam's covenant was so easy. Even though Adam, they cursed the land, but it was no wrath, no death for Adam or Abraham or all of them. Now I'm talking about physical death. I'm not talking about spiritual death here. Breaking the covenants. But in Israel's time, it was physical death, physical wrath, those curses. This was the outcome of them breaking the covenant. And before I start reading, I would like to add that once again, the Most High never said, do my covenant with the best of your abilities. He never said, if I take you in another land, then you can put my covenant on pause until you come back, and it's into an ideal situation where you can do my covenant. No, that's not how covenants work. Covenants work. The covenant is going on until the covenant is over with. So that's why when they went to Babylon, the Most High was trying to get them a way to go back to Jerusalem, back to the temple service, back to all of the things that they had going on, in order for them to adhere to the covenant that they was under. So I just said that. So now let me read this real fast, and I'll turn it right back to you. We got
Okay.
something called partner and punisher, and I'm just gonna read it. Everybody, this is the background dealing with covenants. I think that everybody should pick up this book, understanding the whole Bible. And if you do not pick up the book, at least download a PDF or something about the biblical covenants. So now, the most awkward part of the arrangement with God, the arrangement was that God had to fulfill the roles of both God 1 and God 2 in the equation. He was the one making the covenant, and holding himself accountable to it, but he also had to hold Israel, his covenant partner, accountable to it also. So God had to do his part and hold himself accountable, and then Israel had to do their part and hold themselves accountable, regardless of the situation, regardless wherever they was at, regardless. They had to be held accountable for breaking the covenant or not fulfilling the covenant at 100%, not 99%, not 20%, not 70%, 100%, all time throughout the covenant. All right, so now this put him in a horrible position. Now, this is the author's, this is his opinion in that, but we can kind of say that this would put the Most High in an awkward position because he was the punisher of his covenant and partner of Israel whenever they violated the covenant. So as soon as they violated the covenant, the Most High had to be the punisher as well as be the partner. He had to be the protector and the punisher together, which means he always had to have a remnant that he saved. He cannot destroy all of Israel off. Hence, that's why there was always a remnant coming back, because the covenant made it so. So now, it is important for us to understand that this was not God's ideals, but Israel's. I went over that earlier. Through their counter offer of a kinship covenant, they put God in the position he never wanted, and now he was forced to punish them. He was forced to punish them with the curses because that's the covenant that they agreed to. God wanted a nation of priests who all had direct access to him and represented him to the rest of the world. He wanted a treasured possession and a holy nation. Instead, they asked him for this kinship arrangement, like what they had seen in Egypt. So once again, this thing that they saw arranged came from something that they saw while they was in bondage. So they told him, we don't want what you gave Abraham. We want what we saw the people in authority doing in Egypt. So, all right. So really the grant covenant was too big of a blessing for the slave-minded people to comprehend or accept. And now I'm gonna speed it up, but what the grant covenant was, it states that the Most High does all of the work, and the people receiving the covenant has to do nothing except receive the blessings from the Most High. Now, it's not saying that they can go out and they can sin and they can do all that nonsense, but it's saying that in order to get the blessings, the only thing they have to do is be righteous, live righteous. That's why Abraham was able to receive the blessing. He was able to live righteous. Noah was able to survive because Noah was righteous. If you adhere to the book of Enoch, it said Enoch ruled in righteousness. In fact, even after Adam fell, he was able to get some prosperity because he was considered righteous. Seth was considered righteous. So all of these people of the antiquity was righteous. They didn't have to do nothing in order to receive blessings from the Most High except be righteous. Israel didn't want that covenant. Israel wanted laws. They wanted to have to do specific things in order to be blessed. But that came with a price, because if they did not do those specific things, then the wrath would come. They would be punished for not doing that. This is why we have to get out of the, that's why the Mosaic covenant never would work. But it said instead they chose a kinship. I'm going to skip down. This was the covenant they lived with for 40 years while they wandered in the wilderness, the 10 commandments, as well as instructions on how to build the tabernacle. But even the basic 10 commandments placed God in a position where he had to punish Israel whenever they violated the covenant, which happened frequently. This explains the difference in God's responses to Israel complaining before and after Sinai. I actually hit that. When they was complaining of the food, nothing happened. After they was complaining of the food, after Sinai, he killed them. But okay, the other aspect of the kinship covenant is that it's put God at an end with all of Israel's enemies. He was now obligated by the covenant to rain down judgment against the Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, and other people who fought against Israel. Under the grant covenant, he would not have to do this because his people would have been priests to represent him in humanity. But under the kinship covenant, God was Israel's partner, and he must join in fighting again against Israel's enemies, which is something he never intended. So all it's saying is, not only does the Father have to punish Israel for breaking the covenant, since he's the protector, when he used those other nations to fight Israel, he have to come back and destroy those nations also because he's Israel's partner. So it's making the Most High do a whole lot of things that he never intended. This is another reason why the Mosaic covenant had to end. Nothing about the Mosaic covenant was beneficial for the Father or for Israel. Anything before the Mosaic covenant was beneficial for the Father and for Israel, and for the people. Israel came with that Egyptian mentality. They came with their own covenant. The Most High gave them what they wanted, but he promised them that eventually a new covenant was going to come, not according to that covenant I gave y'all in Mount Sinai, not according to that covenant that y'all wanted. I'm going to give you a new covenant. And with this new covenant, it's going to be like the others. You can live in righteous and you can get blessed without having to do all of these rules. So no, those rules are not abiding today because we're not in the Mosaic covenant today. And the point is, since there's no temple right now, and if we are in the Mosaic covenant, there's nothing but wrath that can come upon the people. And there's no way to atone for anything. No way at all. There's no Levites. There's no representation, no representatives of the Most High right now for us to be on talk basis with the Father in order for him to listen to us and say, hey, y'all don't have to do nothing in this covenant, even though we agreed upon it. That's not how the Most High worked throughout the whole Bible, and it's not going to happen now, no matter how much people want it to. It's not going to happen. And I'm done, and I'll let you take over. The brother said what? The brother said what? The brother said what?
Okay, I got a few questions. I got a few questions. Oh, you gonna make me spill out. I hope nobody who's on this trial is watching this. Okay. Do you Jeremiah 31:31? That's the
Yes,
big
sir.
thing, right? That's the big thing, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the, all right. That's Yahshua, correct? If I can speak for you, that's Yahshua for you, right?
That will be well, that's not Christ was the sacrifice for the covenant. So I would say that will be the covenant of Israel, of spiritual Israel. But Christ was the
Okay.
sacrifice for it, and he's the king of the covenant. That covenant will be up under his rulership.
Okay. So that would not apply to the curses that was given into to Israel in Egypt, right? I mean, when they came out of Egypt, right?
Well, I take for Jeremiah 31 that says not according to the covenant I gave to them. So I would say every curse that came with the Mosaic covenant is no longer in effect.
Okay. So the so the curses in Deuteronomy 28.
Uh-huh.
That's no longer in effect, right?
Correct, correct.
Okay. So
It's, it's kind of impossible though. It's kind
yeah.
of impossible. It's impossible for those
Okay.
curses to be in effect.
All right. Now let me ask. Are we in the land?
Um, you talking about Jerusalem,
Uh
Israel?
huh.
No, no.
Okay. Um, are we multiplying like we should?
Um, you talking about spiritual Israel or national Israel?
To me, Israel is Israel. I mean, to me, spiritual Israel is somebody who's underneath
Uh,
who's following the Most High. So that'll be considered spiritual Israel.
right, 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 right. So, I would say yes. She said, "Where am I getting the information from?" Sorry, my brother. Let me answer it real fast.
Go ahead.
Miss Sharon. I do a lot of reading and studying. I just don't open up a Bible and listen to a commentary or somebody say something. I actually read and study for myself. I have an extensive library full of Hebrewic documents, Hebrewic literature, because these are Hebrewic books. So that's where I get my information from. Studying all day. You can go ahead, brother.
Okay. Let's see. I got that multiplying. Uh, and are we living long lives? For instance, like we're like majority of Israel. Are we living long lives?
Um, I would say no, but I would say it's due to our diets, as well
Okay.
as as well as uh, some of the 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 choices that we make, and some of the choices that we don't have control over that other people make.
Okay. Okay. Would you say that that is a result of not keeping the commandments, law, statutes, and
Definitely,
commandments?
definitely not. I would say that's just a result of living life.
Okay. I want you to read Deuteronomy 30. Let me see. Let me see. Should I get it in context? Yes, I think I should get it in context. 11. It might be kind of lengthy though. Verse 11 through 17.
All right, I want to read. Do you want me to read out the KJV or my Jewish one man Jewish Bible?
Oh, I don't mess with the KJV. Yeah, go. I'm gonna go for the one new man Bible for 500.
Okay, then. Okay. So, all right, so you said Deuteronomy what now?
Deuteronomy 30, verse
All right,
11 through 17.
all right. And everybody out there, this is a more of a Jewish Hebrewic Bible. It's about 50, $60 on Amazon. Y'all purchase. A lot of people don't deal with the KJV like that. So get closer to your roots if you want to be Israelites. Get closer to your roots. And this will bring out a whole lot more information. All right, so Deuteronomy 30 and
No,
what verse?
no. Oh, it's gonna be lengthy. Oh, it's gonna be lengty. Start at verse 1. Go to verse from
Do
1. Start at verse 1. Go to 5. Cause I might as well go ahead and piece this together. Yeah, go ahead and go to verse 1, and then I'll tell you where to stop. And then
All
you're
right,
gonna skip to verse 11.
all right, Deuteronomy 30 and 1. It says, and it will be when all these things come to you, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you will call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and return to the Lord your God, and will obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your being. Then the Lord your God will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where the Lord your God has scattered you. If you are driven out to the outermost of heaven, the Lord your God will gather you from there, and he will fetch you from there. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you will possess it. And he will do for you and multiply you above your fathers. And the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with your whole being, so you may live. And the Lord your God will put all these curses upon your enemies and upon those who hate you, who persecuted you. And you will return and obey the voice of the Lord and do all his commandments, which I command you this day. And the Lord your God will give you abundance in every work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your land, for good. For the Lord will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers, if you hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this scroll of the Torah. And if you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with your entire being. For this commandment which I command you this day is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in the sky, so that you would say, who will go up for us to the sky and bring it to us and cause us to hear it, so that we could do it. Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it, so that we could do it. But the word is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, so that you could do it. Let me keep going.
Is that seven? You at 17?
Oh, no, no, okay. See, I have
Yeah.
set before you this day life and good, and death and evil, and the command, in that I command you this day to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, so you will live and multiply, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land where you go to possess it. If your heart turns away, so that you will not heed, but will be drawn away and worship other gods and serve them. That's it right there.
That's it. It doesn't say
Hmm.
nothing like I would just like I wanted you to keep on going.
Okay, I'll
Uh,
read all the way down to 30.
okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
I
read
know
all the
that's
way
kind
down
of
to verse
that's
to
my
chapter.
favorite chapter. Sorry, it's my
All
favorite
right,
chapter.
all right. Well, I'll read all the way down to chapter 31. I mean, sorry, yeah, chapter 31. I announce to you this day that you will surely perish. You will not prolong your days upon the land which you cross the Jordan to go possess it. I'll call heaven and earth to witness this day against you. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, so both you and your descendants may live. So you can love the Lord your God, so you can obey his voice and you can cleave to him. For he is your life and the length of your days. So you can stay in the land which the Lord swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.
Okay, that's it. All right. So, like, do you believe that the simple fact that we are not in the land today, our children are being killed, our lives are being cut short, is due to to that? Like, you don't believe that that's what's causing them to that?
No, and let me tell you, let me explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, this is the problem that we're gonna run into right here. Now, the brother said I gotta be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But stop that guy. But
You got a vendetta out on you, huh?
right. Stop that guy. But uh I'm finna tell everybody just hit prophecy, my brother. I'm a prophecy head too, you know that. I love feast days, I love prophecies, and I just love putting it all together. So this will be my response. Daniel, I like using logic also. Daniel had four beasts, right? We can agree upon Daniel's four beasts, right? No. I'm not saying that you say that the information is the same. I said
Oh,
we can both
oh,
agree that
yeah,
Daniel
yeah.
had four beasts.
You know where we separate at. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
where we
yeah.
separate with these. But go ahead, yeah.
Right. So we can agree that Daniel had four beasts, right?
Okay.
And then can we agree that during the fourth beast in Daniel, the Bible teaches that this is the time of the end during the fourth beast. And if
Okay.
we don't agree, I can pull the scripture.
No, I agree.
Okay, then. So now the time of the end pertains to, it can only have the new covenant inside of it, right?
Okay.
All right, so the fourth beast has to have the new covenant inside of its domain. So
Okay.
the question is, the first question is does the Bible teach that the Mosaic covenant and the new covenant, not according to the Mosaic covenant, was going to be on earth at the same time for eternity?
Go into a little bit more depth with it. Like, what do you? Okay.
Okay, so every patriarch pretty much had their own covenant. Okay, so Adam had his covenant. Abraham, Noah, then Abraham, then Isaac, Jacob, and then I think you said Ezra, uh, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. Then David had a covenant that he had dealing with the king, and then Moses had a covenant, and then we have a new covenant. So this will be the problem if the new covenant is not according to the old covenant, well, Mosaic covenant, and the Mosaic covenant has the curses as well as the blessings as long as you do these rules, then if we both agree that the fourth beast has came, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I say the fourth beast has came and gone. So from my perspective, it's impossible for the fourth beast then came and gone and for us still to be under the covenant that's before the end time. Because the Mosaic covenant is before the time of the end. So if the time of the end happens during the fourth beast, and then the fourth beast is over with, then by default, the Mosaic covenant had to have come, had to have left, the new covenant had to have claimed, and it had to reign forever, even though the fourth beast is gone. Because the new covenant was an everlasting covenant, never ending. So by default, this is just me logically speaking. We got to look at these beasts to find out where these covenants at. So I would say the Mosaic covenant is in the beginning of the fourth beast, and by the time the fourth beast passed away, the new covenant is here. So if we're living in the time after the fourth beast, then the new covenant will still be here, but the Mosaic covenant has to be gone. It has to go. It had to
Okay.
leave. It had to. So I would say no, none of the curses would apply today because it doesn't fit the prophetic timeline that Daniel gave under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. This is the timeline that the Most High gave Daniel. This is the timeline that the Most High gave King Nebuchadnezzar. The Mosaic covenant cannot be at the time of the end. It's impossible. Only the new covenant can reign at the time of the end. And
All
the
right.
time of
Question.
the end.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. Questions. Okay. When did Jeremiah give this prophecy of the new covenant? Before or after Babylon?
Uh, this was before Babylon, I believe.
Correct. So they still underneath Mosaic covenant during this time, right? They still in the
Correct.
land, correct? Okay.
Correct. 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 Correct.
When they left the land, was the covenant still intact?
Yes. The Mosaic covenant. Yes.
Okay. How would it still be intact if they can't do the things that the Mosaic covenant requires?
That's not what the Most High. That's not what the Most High ever gave them. The Most High never said that the covenant ends when y'all can't do it. He never said that. The covenant is an everlasting covenant until it ends. Remember, he said from
No.
generation to
Oh no, I'm
generation.
talking about the Mosaic covenant. I'm talking about the
You're right.
Mosaic
That's what I'm
covenant.
talking about. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, yeah.
So, so
Just because
when,
they went into captivity, it didn't end.
okay, that's why I had to read Deuteronomy 30 because it says you will perish.
Uh huh.
What does perish mean?
I would think that it would. To me, this is pretty much going away from the Most High. Him turning him hiding his face away. Him hiding his face from Israel and letting Israel pretty much go to the elements.
Okay,
Not
which
having. Not,
cause and that will cause the destruction of Israel,
mm-hmm,
correct?
correct.
That will cause them to lose their Levitical priesthood, right? So the
Correct.
government, so the governmental is dead. Governmental system is dead. The priesthood is
Mm-hmm.
dead. They took away the king, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's no governing body over Israel. The people are scattered,
Right.
correct? Okay. So wouldn't that count? So you're saying that would not count as the death of a nation?
No, it definitely didn't count as death of the nation because in the covenant he had to be their protector too. So he gave them a promise that he was going to regather them. So
I'm
he
not talking about. I'm not talking about individual, like, as in
no,
like
I'm talking about the
flesh,
nation.
but
He regathered
uh
Israel and he brought Israel right back into the land, and they started right back where they left off at. It
okay.
took a while. It took a while, but
I mean, and that's a concept. I mean, that's your concept. I can't argue that concept because that's your concept. My thing is, if you have no governing body, if you don't have sovereignty over your nation, if you have other nations that's coming in this ransacking, if you can't have no control over your land, then your nation is you cease to have power. That's just like if I don't have my spirit, if I don't have the spirit in there to maintain my body, but my body is still there, then I'm considered dead. Like I have nothing to govern my body. My body is just it's just laying there. There's no spirit, so I have no conscience. If I have no conscience, then my body's dead. The priesthood and the kingship was literally the consciousness of Israel. They the ones that control Israel to say that Israel do this, Israelites do that, Israel do this. The king was the one that says, "Oh, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do this." But if you don't have those, then you just have a dead body. This is the whole point of Ezekiel's valley of the dry bones. I'm gonna have to put all these people, but I'm gonna have to breathe them back in the breath of life, which is like I have to give them back these specific spirits which I dealt with on a personal basis, which is the kingship and the priesthood. But if you don't have the priestship or you don't have the priesthood, then you have a nation that's going to erupt this, and we call those zombies. If you get what I'm saying? Like a zombie that doesn't have a consciousness, a body that's animated that doesn't have a consciousness, is nothing but an animated body that's walking around, but it's still considered dead. It's a living dead, if you wanted to say. So if Israel doesn't have a governing body or anything like that, then they have to be perceived as dead. It's a dead nation. It's like the Mongols. Like you do have Mongols that are still in existence, but they don't. But the Mongolian Empire does not exist no more. It's a dead empire. You still have Latin that's still being spoken, but it's considered a dead language because people are not consciously using it. So you have to have some kind of consciousness about it to be still used. So when I'm saying that when Israel went into captivity and he says that I will cut you off as a nation, you will no longer you will cease to exist as a nation or whatsoever. The Most High is pretty much saying that you're going to die. This is where Lamentations came from. You're going to be killed. So when he brings them back into it, this is why Ezra had to make in a whole new covenant. Ezra brought in a whole new covenant. You can read that in Nehemiah. I believe it's in Nehemiah. It's either 9, 10, or 11. It's in one of those. It's at the very end of one of those 3 chapters where he issues out a new covenant. And actually, actually Ezra issues out 2 covenants. He issues ones about don't don't intermingle or leave the foreign wives back in their nations, and then he issues out a covenant. And I want to say is chapter 10, where he issues out. He reads the exact same laws and commandments that was given in Moshe, but instead of them being in the wilderness giving it to them, this is what makes it different from Moshe. Instead of them being in the wilderness being read to, they're actually in the land being read to. And the priesthood signs for it and seals it to confirm this covenant. So this covenant that's being spoken of in Jeremiah 31:31 happens in Ezra. So then my question would be is when did Ezra's covenant end?
okay. Well, this will be my first response. First, I want to hit the Valley of Dry Bones. I think the Valley of Dry Bones, it cannot be Israel coming back as a sovereign nation after the Babylonian destruction, because he specifically said that I'm going to put my spirit in them, and this is more of a Holy Spirit thing, not just them coming back to the land. That's why I mean, and I'm just going to talk from a New Testament perspective. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
see that the Holy Spirit actually comes to Israel in the New Testament. But just to leave out of the New Testament, come right back into to the Tanakh. I feel that the Valley of the Dry Bones was actually a Holy Spirit thing, and not just the nation of Israel coming back into the land. Because after the Babylonian, we still have the Medo-Persia, we still have the Greeks, and I think you said it's the Seleucid. I call it the Roman
The Seleucid
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah, yeah, and I call it the Roman Empire. But we still got three more things dealing with captivity. So the Valley of Dry Bones would have to be more than just the Babylonians. It had to be all of that. The same thing with Lamentations. Lamentations would have to be with all of the things that Israel was going through, with all of those per se captivities instead of just the Babylonian. So I think we just can't put it on the Babylonian like that. And if you make the statement that Ezra's covenant was the same exact covenant, was the same exact rules and regulation that the Mosaic covenant gave, the only difference is the location, then I just see the Mosaic covenant just given in the land instead of the wilderness. I see that the Most High promised them the promised land, so I see the covenant being spoken to them in the promised land instead of it being spoken to them in the wilderness. But the thing about Jeremiah 31 said it's going to be a covenant not according to the covenant I gave y'all out of Mount Sinai. So to me, that's saying that it's going to be different, not geographic wise, not location
Okay.
wise.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. My thing is the when you said it's different. That's actually because you're under the impression of new covenant, right? Like
Well,
new, like brand.
or a renewed covenant.
Okay, so when something is renewed, is it different or is it restarting or is
Well,
it being reestablished? Because
I would say
because the word there is kodesh. It's the exact same word that we use for the new moon. Okay,
okay.
so is the moon it's still the same moon that's going to go through the exact same phases and follow the exact same laws as from the beginning. It's just being refreshed.
Well, the
So
problem would the
now,
problem there will be the words not according. So regardless if it's renewed or if it's the same exact thing, we can't get rid of the other words that says not according to this covenant. So regardless, we can't look at this covenant and say
okay, yeah.
that.
So with that is it like because we can't mix up commandments and covenant. Like yes, if I'm getting married to somebody, for instance, if I have a wife, right, and my wife breaks the vows that we had, and we get a divorce, and we work things out, and we say, okay, let's renew our vows, right? Is it going to be the exact same laws, or am I going to change up the laws? Because if we're going to have the exact same laws, to honest and cherish, to take care of you, to don't cheat, don't do all this stuff like that. Or am I going to switch it up because I'm going to still keep her under the exact same standards that I want her, just because like she went out and she cheats, but then okay, and forget what Torah says, okay, because if she cheats, and I can't take her back. But let's say for instance, like we are in a like if she cheats and then I forgive her and she comes back, that covenant that that vow that she broke is still going to be still there when she comes back. Now it's not going to be the exact same vows that we issued because we on a whole nother one. She messed up that oath, but I'm going to issue out new oaths for her to sign, because if you go and you read Nehemiah, they had to re-sign everything again. They had to go and say, okay, yeah, we will do everything that you said. We had to do all this stuff again, just like it says in Deuteronomy 27. They had to go through they had to read out all these stuff right here, and then they had to say amen after everything. The exact same thing happened in Ezra, but it's not no longer Moshe's covenant or the covenant that was issued from Moshe. It's a covenant that was issued with Ezra. So it's not it can't be. It's the exact same rules and the exact same vows, but it's not issued to the exact same person. I mean, issued by the exact same person.
See, and see, that's why I gotta disagree. And I want to read it out of my Jewish Bible first. Let me
Okay.
read it out the Jewish Bible. It says Jeremiah 31:30. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, that I will cut a renewed covenant. So first of all, cutting covenant. This is more of the things that I was talking about earlier, dealing with the vassal covenant or the grant covenant, blah blah blah, this and that. But we can go over that at a later time. But anyway, I will
Okay.
cut a
Yeah.
renewed
I still want
covenant.
to build. I want to pull you aside with that one though. But
Okay, good.
yeah.
All right. I will cut a renewed covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not so we got the renewed covenant right there, but we got it here. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant, which they broke, although I am husbanding them, says the Lord. So now, all I have to do is go to Deuteronomy 29. And I read Deuteronomy 29, it says, this is the covenant. So
Mhm.
once you go to Deuteronomy 28, because we know there's no chapter or verse divisions. So
Mhm.
Deuteronomy 29 is actually just an elongated version of what was being said. So he read all of the rules to him, and then he read the curses that goes along with it. So if it's not according to these rules or these curses, which I have already given you, I'm going to give you a renewed covenant or what they said, a new covenant, but a renewed covenant. And all it is doing is it's renewing a covenant with Israel and Judah because Israel and Judah broke the covenant. Therefore, they had to get another covenant or a renewed covenant. But the rules and regulations don't stay the same. That's why it's not according to that covenant. And what a lot of people, what he switched up at, he switched up pretty much the sacrifices because it went 100% spiritual sacrifice, which what Psalms was alluding to. But he switched up the sacrifice. Those statues that was, as everybody knows, was impossible for us to do over here in America. He took that away from us. He took pretty much us having to know who the Levites were because now he was opening up for everybody to be priests if they followed the Most High. So he switched up the whole thing. So we can't. And what Ezra did from because I ain't studied Ezra, but from what you said, Ezra just did the same thing Moses did, the same exact thing. He just gave it to him in the land and in the wilderness. But what the Most High is saying is, I'm gonna give you something not like that covenant because once again, he didn't want to give them that anyway. That's what they wanted. He didn't want to do all that. Israel wanted that. So now he's going to give them what he wanted to give them in the first place. That's what I get from it. So it's nothing mosaic about what the Most High wanted to give them in the first place, except some of those moral laws, which are the Ten Commandments. But that's what I get from
Okay. So then, there's my kind of wound. All right. So,
it.
all right. So the
but 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 we still gotta say though, these are fourth. This is a fourth beast. No matter who we think the fourth beast is, this
Mhm.
is a fourth beast situation.
Mhm.
So if we're past the fourth beast right now,
Mhm.
that would mean that either the Mosaic covenant is binding forever because we're past the fourth beast. We're past every covenant now. So either the Mosaic covenant will be binding forever, or the new renewed covenant will be binding forever that has nothing to do with the Mosaic covenant. But we got to pick one that's going to be a binding forever because that's the one that we got to be under right now and it never leaves. So this ain't do it to the best of your ability thing. This is not what the Most High teaches. So
Hmm.
Which covenant are people picking to be their lives? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so my answer right now is that no, we're not underneath a Mosaic covenant. I can get with you at that. Just talking with you, I'm seeing that. I'm under the impression that we're under the Ezra covenant. The reason why I say that we're under the Ezra covenant is because that was the last covenant that was actually established over us over. Does it have Moshe's laws in it? Yes, because I believe that every covenant stacks each on top of each other. Now, what I was getting at when I said that this might kind of hurt is so you're saying that the new covenant in Jeremiah is going to be completely different, right? Okay, so but you're saying that Yahshua is the fulfillment of this, correct?
I say that he was the atoning sacrifice for it, and he's
Okay,
the king. He's the king over the covenant, but the fulfillment of it was the gospel.
okay. Oh, okay. So are you saying that the Gospels is teaching something different than the Torah?
I'm saying that the gospel is teaching that in order to please the Father right now, we go through the baptism. We go through believing on the suffering. All of the things that pretty much Christ taught. But
Now,
it,
now baptism is from the Mosaic covenant.
I know. It was
Okay.
the anointing of the priesthood. That's one of them.
No, no,
That's
it's
one of
actually a
them.
cleansing. It's called mitzvos. It's when you clean. When a woman comes off in the die, she has to clean herself. When a man have ejaculation, he has to clean himself. When somebody touches something that's not clean, they have to wash themselves, and they'll be clean at the end of the night. That's the exact same thing that the baptism was the same to remission uh, being defiled.
Right. But this
That's
is
all.
what
That's all.
but this is what Christ did. When Christ got the disciples, he washed their hands and feet because he was ordaining them for the priesthood. And then he taught, see, John was teaching the immersion for a repentance, but Christ was teaching the immersion for symbolically representing that you are dying his death and you are resurrecting to new life under the new covenant.
Wait, did Yeshua teach that or did Paul teach that?
This is Christ.
I don't remember him saying that.
Well, about the baptism.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the raising to
Being
partaking of Christ's
diet.
death through the
Yeah.
baptism?
Yeah. Cause
Okay,
I
well,
remember I just remember like him doing John's baptism, but I don't remember him talking about any other baptism.
once you go through the New Testament, you see that they asked the disciples of John, who have you been baptized under? And they said John's baptism. Where they was like, well, let's baptize you under Christ's baptism now. But that being said, even with Paul, because I get what you're saying now. So even with Paul was under. Now I just take it that Paul wasn't lying. Paul was under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. So I'm taking it that Paul used that divine guidance in order to bring forth what he needed to bring forth. But I don't want to see. I don't like going into in the New Testament
I understand. I understand that.
with
I
my
just brought
Tanakh
that
only
up
brother.
because that's actually something that was found in the Mosaic covenant as well.
Yeah.
So you know.
It's 100%. But the beautiful thing of it is, nobody in the New Testament never said anything that didn't happen in the pretty much the Torah or the Tanakh. They all just the New Testament is just showing fulfillments of the Tanakh. That's all it's doing in the Torah. That's all it's doing. It's not like he's saying anything different. He's just showing the fulfillment.
Okay, we can do it
But
because
we can leave
you
we can leave it for long from that, man.
got like
But now
you
but
pulling
this is
out a
what I gotta ask you.
sword that I just don't want to come out yet. Like but I'm, but no,
Hey,
I mean
this is
I'll just rock. I'll rock with it for right now. I'll rock with it.
but
So
this is
I
what I
can
gotta
see it.
ask you then. This is what I gotta ask you. So now, are there any curses in Ezra's covenant?
Are there any curses that there isn't any mention?
So pretty much, it sounds like to me that Ezra's covenant is hold on. So is Ezra's covenant like Moses' covenant without the curses?
They go over the the moral laws. If you read Nehemiah 9, 10, and 11, they go over and it's teaching about the Shabbat. It's teaching about not intermingling with marriage. It's teaching about keeping uh, certain statutes or whatsoever that are found in the Mosaic covenant, but it's not telling you anything about the curses. It's not telling you anything about the curses. Now, my
So
thing is, what will make it? What will make it? And the word forever is funny. The word forever is funny, especially when it's
I
being
already
used in
know.
the
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
because like the word that means like eternally, perpetual or something like that. That's actually the word abah, where
Mhm.
the word forever, which is constantly being used as well as being used in Jeremiah, is actually olam. Olam actually means long duration. Okay, so so it just depends on how long a certain covenant will reign. Now with me, the covenant, my understanding is, again, it's like we'll use something different. We'll use something different. I don't want to keep on using the marriage because for some reason we are like the father and the son into this whole situation too. Let's use it like that. When you're in your father's house, right? Your father gives you certain rules that you're supposed to follow, and if you break those rules, he's like, "Get out my house," right? And you stay at the house or something like that, and he's like, okay, he forgives you. He sees that you're trying now, brings you back in. Then the moment you mess up again, get out my house. Then he brings you back in. Once he brings you back in, you get all the blessings and all that stuff like that. But every time you get kicked out, that's him shunning you or cursing you. That's how I'm seeing it. So every single time that we mess up, covenant broken, go, get out my house. Then when we come back, okay, come back in. I'm going to, okay, look, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. You good? Yes, we good. Just issue out another covenant. You broke the covenant. Dang, get out of my house. Now you coming back. Okay, now don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's how I'm seeing the covenant is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I understand what you're saying, Dad. Okay, you break it. Get out my house. That's all I'm seeing that the Most High is doing. Like every time Israel mess up, we getting out. Now is the covenant still there? Yes, that makes it internal because the Most High keeps His word. That makes it internal. But every time we mess up, you gotta go. But then when we start behaving and we seem like we're gonna behave, and we're like, Dad, please let me in. I can't make it out here. He brings us back in. He's like, okay, just don't do this. Do you understand me? Yes. Do you get it? Yes. And stuff like, okay. But he's going to say the exact same thing. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's going to be the exact same thing. Don't do this. I don't think that, because, like, to me, the Ten Commandments is the most easiest thing to keep. It's the most easiest thing. And I completely agree with you when you say, oh, like, they had to add more stuff because we human. Like for instance, divorce. Divorce is something that was given because we had to, we had, like, humans can't just live with humans. But if we didn't lust, or we didn't do, like think of certain things to try to, like for instance, like the enticing thing and stuff like that. Like, when you enticing, you actually are stealing somebody else's uh, spouse when you're enticing them, because that spouse is specifically set up for somebody else. Most High made them specifically for that person. So you're enticing or you're coveting another man's wife by technicality. So if we didn't do that, or we didn't covet other people, then we wouldn't need vows, or we wouldn't need ordinance, or oaths, or commandments to say, well, if you do this, then you need to take her and you can't divorce her, or whatsoever. But or don't lust at somebody, or don't try to, just entice or something like that, because of some fact that they might not be meant for you. Y'all might not be compatible. And now the simple fact that y'all not compatible and you get into arguments, okay, here, you got a divorce now. Just write a letter of divorce then, fine. So y'all can be split up or something like that. But if we didn't have that, then it would be okay. We just followed it. We were, I completely agree. We was intentionally supposed to follow the 10 Commandments. That's it. But everything else, because of Israel, we needed a commandment for the king. Why did we need a commandment for the king if the Most High is our king? Why we need a high priest when the Most High dealt with us directly? He came to us specifically on Mount Sinai to deal with us so we could hear his voice. But we didn't want to hear his voice. We wanted to hear Moshe. When we heard Moshe's voice, okay, now you got a high priest. Now these are the rules I want you to do for the high priest. Oh, you want to sacrifice like the other nations. Okay, here's the rules for you to sacrifice it like the other nations. It just gets more and more and more compiled onto each other when we just really supposed to have these specific laws. We're supposed to govern ourselves. And this is my thing. We're supposed to just govern ourselves, and we're supposed to have the Most High as our king. And we won't have to worry about it. We could have been the only nation out of the whole entire planet that was a self-governing nation that didn't need no king or no royal system. But Israel, stiff-necked people. Stiff-necked.
So, but my question, but now, see, this is what I'm asking you though, because I don't see it in the Bible where he spoke of, doing away with covenant and keep letting them come back. I just see covenant things and
that's why I read Deuteronomy 30.
Right. But I don't see him leaving. He divorcing them and then bringing them right back into the covenant and divorcing them again and coming.
Okay, so if this happened once, because I know there's Jeremiah. It's somewhere in Jeremiah where he says divorce. This is the same reason why he put out the story of Hosea, where he divorced his wife but then took her back. Didn't want to sleep with her, but divorced her and took her back. He told Ezekiel to tell them that they paid the prostitute and the harlot.
So now, hold on. Let's walk through this though. Let's walk through it now. Okay. So let's just use your ideology and say you're right. Okay. So now, that's the Mosaic covenant, right? She's in the bathroom. That's the Mosaic covenant, right?
I really think that's pretty much.
This is what I'm asking you. This is what I'm asking you. Can you jump from the new covenant to the Mosaic covenant to Ezra's covenant, back to the Mosaic covenant to the new covenant, back to Ezra's covenant? Can you do that?
No, I think covenants are pretty much named after the person who gave them.
Okay, so now
covenant, because at the end of the day, who's issuing the covenant?
Right.
Who's the covenant being given to? Every single covenant from Adam all the way down, it's been the Most High's covenant. Now the person who's giving it is named after. So, it's still. Go ahead.
I'm done with you, but this is what I'm trying to get at. I need you, because I think you picked Ezra. I need you to pick what covenant you think we're in right now.
What covenant we in right now?
Yeah, the covenant that you think we're in right now.
The simple fact that we're not in the land, we're not in no covenant right now. We can't be.
Well, once again, see this, and this will be the problem. At the end of the fourth beast, we were in the covenant. The Most High never said the covenant was going to end. He never said that it was going to be a time where.
Hold on. Daniel said that he in Daniel 9 that they will cause a covenant and then the covenant will come to an end.
Hold on, let's go there. Let's go there.
Yeah, Daniel 9, I believe it's verse 25. It speaks of
I,
it again in Daniel 7. He says that
yeah,
even the prince is cut off. I mean, not Daniel
now
7, but Daniel 11.
Daniel 9 and what 25.
25.
Knowing therefore and understand that this going forth to the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks, and the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. You talking about verse 27? And he shall
Oh, okay.
confirm, confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now,
Uh-huh.
first of all, which covenant is that?
That will be the covenant that they received when they came back.
So would this be the Mosaic covenant or the new covenant or Ezra's covenant?
Okay. Like I don't think that the new covenant is separate from Ezra's covenant.
Okay, well, would this be the Mosaic covenant or Ezra's covenant?
It's no longer Mosaic's covenant, so it has to be Ezra's covenant.
Okay, then, so now, and he confirmed the covenant of Ezra with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week, he shall call the sacrifice and oblations to cease. And for the overspreading and abominations, he shall make it desolate, even into the consummation. And the determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So the covenant was never supposed to end. So we always going to be a covenant people. So
Well,
now,
we can't. There's okay. I mean, I was saying like because that now we're playing on the word olam now.
well,
That's
no,
my
this is
point.
what I'm getting at. If we can't find a scripture where it says that we're not going to be a covenant people at a point, then we can't put it there. If everything that the Most High ever did ran off of covenants, then we have to use covenant. So my thing is, the fourth beast is gone. We both say that. So I need to know which covenant was active before the fourth beast left. Because when the fourth beast leaves, and everybody out there is going to hate to hear this, all the people listening, but when the fourth beast leaves, the Bible is complete. It's no more prophecies, no more anything else. This is the time of the end. You can close the Bible and you can enjoy whatever the Most High gave you. Now, if you want to open it back up and read your history, do that. But don't think it's another prophecy coming after the fourth beast. So, my question is,
That's the impersonation that I got. I mean, like that right there is the that's my whole theology right there. But go ahead.
so my thing is, which covenant was inactive at the time of the end? Because that's the covenant that we have to be in right now.
Yes. And the last covenant, which I believe that is no longer in effect because we are not in the land. But
Well,
the last one that we left off is the covenant that was issued from Ezra.
okay, so now you think that we have been out of covenant with the Most High for 2,000 years,
To 2,500 years.
or 2,500 years. So by default, how could we be suffering curses from a covenant that we're not even in?
Because that's actually a part of the okay, that's a good question though. But my answer is going to be the proclamation again. The proclamation that the Most High gave to Israel is that if you do not keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, that this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. You're not going to have long life. You're going to be placed out of the land, and your children, you're not going to be able to multiply like you're supposed to. Now
Right.
we
So are
supposed to
these
be, yeah.
are these
Now,
generational?
yeah,
Are these generational?
this happened. I mean, there's no saying like, oh no, this is only for this specific covenant or anything like that. He says if you keep, he don't even say it's a covenant. He says if you do not keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, then this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But if you keep them, no matter where you're going to scatter, because he says the exact same thing again. Nehemiah had to remind them about this in Nehemiah 1 verse 8 and 9. He said the exact same thing. If you don't keep my laws, statutes, and commandments, then this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this is happening. But if you keep my law, statutes, and commandment, no matter where you're scattered in the world, I will gather you and bring you back, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God.
But he told him that because he was in covenant with them. So that was a
Huh?
covenant promise that he could do. He was always in covenant with them. So my thing is, if he had been out of covenant with us 2,500 years, and we're talking about a just God, a righteous God, and if we have no covenantal rules and regulations, how can anybody be suffering any curses for doing anything that they're not obligated to keep? See, he's able
Okay.
to tell. Hold on, he's able to tell Israel that because Israel was under the covenant with him, so he was able to tell Israel
Mm-hmm.
that. He's able to tell what you said was no curses in Nehemiah. So he was able to tell Israel that because
Mm-hmm.
ancient Israel was under that covenant. But once that covenant is stopped, those curses got to stop because those curses came for them rejecting the things inside of the
Okay.
covenant. So
Okay. So here's the thing. This goes back to the wife and the son thing, right? Because he compares us to a wife and he compares us to a son, correct? Okay. So if you divorced your wife, God forbid it. I don't wish that unto you. But we're gonna hypothetically speaking though. Is she under your protection anymore?
if you divorce her, she's no longer in covenant with me.
Okay. So is she's under your protection anymore?
No,
Are you gonna be providing for her?
no,
Okay, so she's free to do. She's giving over to the wolves, right? So now
right.
all kinds of stuff can happen to her now, which will be the curses. Now the thing with the blessings is the curses is nothing but a result. Blessings are nothing but a result. You're gonna get the blessings when you're in your house or when she's under you. You get what's the opposite of being under you? She's no longer being blessed. So the opposite of that is now she's going to be suffering through the curse. Now he constantly says that I will call in Jeremiah he says I will hand you over to the nations. I will cause you to forget your inheritance. Now you're going to be suffering this, 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 and this. This is exactly what happened to us in Babylon. This is exactly again that happened to us when we decided to follow underneath the Greek Empire. We was slaves. Deuteronomy, everything that happened in Deuteronomy 28. Not saying that Deuteronomy 28, that this is the Deuteronomy translated. I'm not with that. But the curses are still there. The curses are still there
Can
because
I
we are
can
no
I
longer underneath his we're no longer underneath his protection.
can I use your same scenario?
Uh huh.
All right, so let's say that I'm married, right? I'm married,
Mhm.
right? Let's say I tell my wife because she's in covenant with me. So if I tell my wife, if you don't come to bed by 9 o'clock every night, I get to thump your toe as hard as I can, right? Right.
Yeah.
So once we are divorced, can I still thump her toe for not coming in at 9 o'clock?
No.
So this is how covenantal arrangements work. If we're no longer in covenant, all of the rules and regulations inside of that
But
covenant no longer is in effect.
but the thumping of your toenail as a result of the 40 is equal to the 40 lashes that one will receive for doing something. Now, if I'm or paying seven folds, or making a payment to somebody and they get to keep the dead cow or whatsoever. Now, if I go out and I kill somebody's cow, they can't force that up to me because we are no longer in that specific covenant where we're underneath those specific laws. Okay, because we're completely away. That's between me and whatsoever. Now the Most High says, now if you do this, then I'm going to punish you, or I'll take your firstborn, or whatsoever. But if we're no longer under the covenants because we've been handed over to our oppressors. We've been handed over to foreign nations. So now that's just saying that we are no longer in our land. We are no longer in the household. So the simple fact that we're no longer in the household, then the Most High is not protecting us. He's not providing for us.
Okay,
We
well,
are subjected to other nations.
can I read something for you?
Uh-huh.
All right, I want to read Deuteronomy 28, and I'm just going to read 65, 69, and 29 and 1. All right, so this is Deuteronomy 28:65. And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord should give thee a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. That's a curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
uh, 68, and we all know this one. This is our favorite one. And the Lord shall bring thee to Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. There you shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That's a curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then once we read the next one, these are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab. So now, aren't these curses part of the covenant that the Most High gave them?
Yes.
Okay, so now, so we're equal right there, right? All right, now,
Mm-hmm.
so once they leave this covenant, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the curses inside of this covenant, because they go together. So once they leave this entire covenant and the curses with it, how can the curses come back and affect them if they're no longer in the covenant with the curses?
The curses can
Come on,
those
brother.
curses.
Come
No,
on,
listen.
brother.
The curses can only take effect if there's no covenant. There can't be a covenant. The covenant is only in existence because the Most High is not there for us. The Most High is not there watching over us or protecting us. That's the only way that a nation can come onto us. That's the only way that a nation can come and take us into captivity. That's the only reason why Babylon came. Because if you notice, and when you read Jeremiah, he divorces us first. Then Babylon and Assyria comes. So that's the
So, so,
only that's
so let me get this right now. Let me get this right. So you saying
mm-hmm.
that every curse came during us not being in covenant with the Most High?
After he divorced us. Look after he divorced us, then the curses come.
Well, this is why I got to ask you, because I done went through the Bible
Mm-hmm.
and I done found every curse inside of the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be, and I'm just gonna yell it. I'm not gonna go through them, but I'm gonna say, so from Daniel all the way through Revelation, we wasn't in covenant with the Most High.
Honest opinion? Nah. No. To be
Okay,
completely
okay.
honest, I see what you did there. No. Nah, to be honest. Like, because of the simple fact that we had foreigners in our land that was taking over and that was controlling us. People our nation was scattered all over Rome. It was only a very few people that was there in Israel at that time when Yahshua was walking the earth. So, like,
So Daniel was not in covenant with the Most High.
Daniel, when he was alive, no, no, they was outside of the land. There was no protection. They had to come. They had to have a Cyrus come and say, okay, look, go back to your land. They had to set up everything. They had to set up a priesthood. They had to set up. They had to rebuild the temple. They had to build the wall. Then Nehemiah comes during the time of Darius and says, look, I need to go back to my land. They rebuilt the wall. They appointed Haggai comes and Zechariah comes, had to appoint the priesthood, set crowns on the priesthood, set a crown on. Cyrus had to give Zerubbabel the signet rings to say, look, now you could be the ruler over Israel and stuff like that. Then, after all that stuff was set up, covenant was issued. They had to reset up everything.
So
And then,
so I
during that time, at that time, they start going back. Then you go all the way down to the Seleucid Empire, go all the way down to a guy named Antiochus, Antioch says, what does he do? Puts up the abomination of desolation. Maccabees 1.
Right.
Both
So
sides,
so so
pew, gone,
so
out of there.
so during the Roman time, they was in covenant because they was in the land.
No, no, you can still be in a covenant, but what was happening? They was being controlled by another nation. That's still breaking outside of the temple was already destroyed. It was desolated. When was it? When was it?
Well, they were just like in 70 AD.
Hold on. The sons of Sadat was killed off. The high priest was changed. The kings of David had flee for the mountains. All this is Maccabee. Kings of David flee for the mountain. What's the next king that came in? The Hasmach dynasty, where we would get the Edomite king. What's his name? Your boy Herod.
Yeah,
There's no
Herod.
king. Everything that has to deal with the Israelite government fell off. So was we in covenant?
So in other words, we've been out of covenant for a while.
For a minute.
Okay, so
that's just my theory. Now Yeshua would try to come and probably try to issue out a whole nother covenant. I can't knock that.
So even with your understanding, that still proves that if we've been out. Okay, so now you're saying the curses made in the covenant actually go past the covenant, so it overwhelms the. I don't understand. Okay, so it's impossible to get rid of curses.
Yeah, if you don't have blessings, you're gonna have curses. If you don't have, it's just like if you don't have light, you're gonna have darkness. If you don't have evil, you're gonna have good. If you're not underneath somebody's protection, then you open to the wolves. So I mean, yeah, like.
Well, well, I'm glad that me and you talk, and you see that at least me and you both agree that we're not under the Mosaic covenant.
No, I can't say that you got that argument. I can definitely say that you got that argument.
Okay.
That,
well, I hope you know. I hope you know.
I just say that the laws that are there still plays a big role. But as far as like sacrificing, I never thought that we should be sacrificing in the first place. So I'm kind of glad that that's kind of not the way anyway, because I don't think that we're supposed to be sacrificing anyway. But
well, I hope you know you just lost about 30 of your friends.
Oh, they come and go. They come and go. They come and go. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna talk what I talk, because you know, like when we start talking about stuff being fulfilled, you know, we on both sides we losing people on both sides. So I mean, hey,
they unfriending us as we speak.
Hey, it goes. But I like to sort out, you know, the remnant. That remnant is something serious.
All
you know, I'd rather have a small. Go ahead.
Me and you, we gonna have to get on that. Just me and you is this New Testament inspired. We gonna have to do that.
We'll build up onto that though.
Yeah,
we'll build up
we're gonna have to do that. You see that I do. You see I do a whole lot of reading, man.
Man,
I do a whole
that's
lot
why I
of
try to that's why I try to get you onto that team, man. I don't know what they like. He called me. He was like, because of your answering machine. Like, do you say Ahaya? Like, do you still use that? I knew it. Like he says on your answer machine, he says you said Ahaya. So he wasn't too sure if it was a part of GMS. So I was like, I mean GOCC. I was like, nah, like I haven't heard him say Ahaya or anything like that. And so he was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, all right. I mean, it's not like I would just give you any ordinary person who I just know I'm going to squash. I'm giving you somebody who like I know is going to be some kind of you know, force.
At least I read something. At least I read something. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he reads and he gives me a run for my money. So it's not like, I mean, this is the I don't like Batman, so I'm gonna say you the Joker you the Batman to my Joker. So like I'm not just handing you somebody over, but hey, you know, it is what it is.
Hey man, hey, I always love talking to you, man. We gotta meet up one day, man.
The same. I'm gonna pull this big truck over to your house one day, man. I'm gonna pull,
Hey,
I'm
you
gonna
keep
pull
messing
it
with
over
me, man.
one
Hey,
day,
you keep messing with me, I'll come out there and team with you, man.
man. I tell you what, no, don't come to CR England though. Don't come here. Let me stop before they see this live. But nah, I'm gonna say don't come over here. Let me come to you.
But hey, it's been fantastic, man. And you,
Man,
man,
always, man.
I tell you this, man. You the only to not brother that I can talk to. You the only dude out of all of Facebook, out of the millions of people on Facebook, you the only one I can talk to. That's crazy,
Man, I
man.
appreciate that. I appreciate it. It means a lot though, because like at the same time, at the end of the day, I am trying to bridge a gap between it. So
Yes, sir.
all we could just play fight and all kind of stuff like that. Like, oh, let's bring us a New Testament and Old Testament stuff. All right, let's go. Keep quickly. But at the end of the day, man, it's gonna be for fun though. I ain't doing it to try to chop off heads or anything like that. Though,
So do you do the Hebrew Israelite doctrine
the
besides
Hebrew
the we're
Israel.
Israelites? Besides we're Israelites, but do you adhere to a lot of the Hebrew Israelite doctrine?
No, like not
Yeah.
really. Like to me, like are we by blood? I believe that we have some blood in us. Like I
Right.
mean, like, but can we trace it? No, it's gonna be very hard to trace it. It'll be very hard to trace it. To me, I'm just like, I don't really say like, yeah, I'm Hebrew. I know for sure that I'm Hebrew, but I say that no, I'll keep the law, statutes, and commandments, or I keep
Right.
Torah. So that's what, and I follow the specific deity or the specific Elohim. So that's what makes me Hebrew, because anybody who joins, you could be a sojourner and join it, and you'll be considered a Hebrew. We
Right.
forget, we forget that Abraham had servants and followers. Isaac had servants and followers. Jacob had servants and followers. When they came out of Mizraim, they had followers. So everybody wasn't direct descendants from
Right. Right.
Abraham.
Right. Right. Right.
So, but as long as you was keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, you was considered Israel. You was be treated as native. So, like pushing, like, oh yeah, we the blood of this, we the blood of that. I can find it in my blood. I don't know. Like I just know that
Yeah.
I keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and I say, yeah, I'm Hebrew because I follow keep Torah and stuff. Like if that's it.
Well, I even found in Josephus, man, where he was recording Egyptians as well as some of the Edomites. Some of them was circumcising themselves, keeping the Torah, and they was considered
Mhm.
Jews. So just like you just said,
Exactly.
it, it, it,
Yeah.
it, at one point it quit being about pretty much nationality into what you was following.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So I mean, I see that, man, and see I like history like that, man. So I done went through about 80%. Well, I say 70% of that Josephus, and I'm working on some more books right now, man. But hey, my brother, you tough out there.
man. I try to be, man. I try to be. I
Before we get
try to
off the
have.
phone, man. Before we get off the phone, do you ever listen to commentaries and stuff while you're driving?
Uh, like of the scriptures, or do I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I listen to different people's podcasts. I mainly listen to debates.
yeah.
That's how I get a lot of my knowledge to know what I should be dealing with and what I need to look up. But yeah, I listen to like podcasts of people's interpretations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I do that. I do that too, man. At one point, and I'm not knocking. See, that's why I like Mr. Bell because he been on it 40 years. So I ain't
Uh-huh.
nowhere in the world I'm surpassing him. So, but the thing
Oh
is,
yeah.
at one point, man, it gets that talking to some people is like elementary, man, and it's remedial, and it's like ain't nothing that you have in common, and only thing they want to do is insult, and you know that what you're talking about is right and what they're talking about is wrong. It gets crazy out here, man. How
Mhm.
do you deal with it?
I actually start like once I see like, oh, you're insulting. That just means that you have no more knowledge. Let's play around with it now. Like, oh, because then they start insulting and be like, oh, that's why it's so and so and so and so. Or that's why, and they start throwing out straw mans and stuff. So I just be like, oh, is that supposed to make me mad? And that's why I start coming out with all the memes like, oh, I'm mad, something like that. Oh, like, Like, okay, so I'm mad now, and that's I throw a little like gif out there that shows somebody like mad and stumping and stuff like that. I'm like, is this what you want? You sound like you're upset. I get real petty then, like, cause that's my fun moment, and I just be
Yeah.
like, oh, you upset? Oh, that's so cute. Oh, but you want me to go sit a timeout? You want me to say that I'm wrong? Oh, okay, yeah, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, even though you don't have no understanding or you don't read. You obviously don't read. And it comes from like people don't have that much knowledge, but they're so base and stuff like that it's like like I can see where your level is, and then I
Yeah.
can see where you ran out of knowledge, or I can see where you ran out of because I mean I get people who comes to me and then like I will be fighting, like I'll just be like okay no this is then after a while I had to sit back and I'm like man I might be wrong, and I'll just be like okay yeah you might got it yeah okay let me go check this out what I'm saying I come back and I get back with you and stuff like that and. Like I take it from there. But some people just won't admit they're wrong. That's why I say it's like that's the difference between being right and being correct.
Right.
Everybody can be right. Anybody can be right. It's just because it's based off of your own understanding and your own interpretation. But being correct, you have to have facts and you gotta have, logical reasoning and stuff. And like a lot of people don't have that. I'd rather be correct. I'd rather be like, okay, yeah, if you're saying this enough, and you coming out with a lot of knowledge. And you coming out with it is not. I can start seeing that it's not based off your own opinion. Then yeah, okay, I admit to that. Like okay, I can see that. Like I can
Yes,
see
sir.
where you
Yes,
coming
sir.
from.
Yes, sir. Well, do you mind if I put this on my YouTube?
Go for it. Go for it. It's fun. Let me know when you put it on YouTube. I can share it to my YouTube.
I
Like
bet. Oh, you got a YouTube?
yeah, man, my YouTube is dusty though. Like I gotta blow that bad boy off. Like like I'm still Messianic on my YouTube.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Well,
like
hey, I
don't
gotta.
put
I'm gonna check it out
don't.
before you erase it.
No, I ain't gonna erase it because it just shows where I come from. But
Right.
but yeah. If you go to like I leave it up to show like where I come from, and then the people are still Messianic because I do drop knowledge onto about Messianic because I deal with a lot of stuff that's like Christian based, like
Right. Right.
come out of Christianity. So I still use it as a bridge. Like I still feel that Messianics are still needed because it bridges the
Yeah.
gap between Christianity. So I'm like, okay, this is the bridge that they can walk over, and it'll just you can just ease on into it. And then when you get to a certain spot, you can stay Messianic or you can just bridge over to be strictly Torah and stuff like that. So I still use it to kind of walk it over. But you'll see my progression coming out of it, like kind of, and then it's the point where I just kind of stop, and
Yeah.
then it's just like, you know. But I have to blow that off because it's nothing. I haven't posted something there since 2000 and like ooh 16. Like
Whew.
like I'm talking about like
Yeah.
death.
What's your name on there?
MariEl Ben Yahoo,
Okay, so it's your same name then.
same name, same
Oh,
name.
bet. I'm finna go ahead and subscribe to you.
Yeah, and it's some funny stuff into it because I try to make it like grasping, like so like I try to do like a little bit of comedy and stuff. I try to do like you know uh funny videos or something like that, and so it's kind of like a little bit productive, kind
Well,
of a little bit. I kind of
you
go
know
ahead.
every Facebook video you can add to your YouTube, don't you?
Not, I didn't know I could add live.
Yeah, that's what I do.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, put me on game. Oh, I feel old. Oh man, you know how
Yeah.
many live videos I
I
let go?
know.
Man, I just save my live videos. Like I just be like, okay, save, and then I just save it to the save files. Man, oh, I'm about to go. Man, my live about to go. I mean, my YouTube about to go crazy now. I'm about to do that
That's what
right
man.
now.
Hey, about 95% of my YouTube videos are from Facebook.
Okay. Hit me up. This man been backing up for like the past 20 minutes. Sorry.
But yeah, hey, I'm gonna let you go. In fact, Man, they probably call me another hour talking about, so we need you to come in. So let me try to get some rest.
Man, get some rest. You know how this happens. This happens up all night. I'll be talking all night. I need to get
Hey,
some
man,
rest too.
thank you for inviting me on your channel, man,
Man,
and thank you for letting me share it on my YouTube, man.
man, go for it. Go for it, man. And thanks for entertaining me. I done let 3 hours go by. So, yeah.
You only got 7 more before you got to crank that bad boy back up,
Before I
don't you?
gotta crack it back up, exactly. Exactly. I'm looking at it right now. Like you got 7 hours and 15 minutes before you get back on.
Golly,
Uh,
man. But hey, brother, hey, man, it's a blessing, man, and I'll be reaching back out to you, man.
of course, of course. And tell Mr. Bill I said shalom.
Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, sir. All right,
All right.
shalom, my brother.
Shalom. Shalom,
All
everybody.
right.